You're fascinated with your business, with your products and services, and why your products and services are so much better than your competitors. And your buyers just don't care. Today's blog's likely to be the shortest because, frankly, this is dead easy. How do we create interest in our company? We don't. They're not interested in you. What they're interested in is the problem that you can solve, and they're interested in finding solutions to get it solved. That's where their interest lies, and therefore the conversation isn't how do we get them interested in us, but how do we get them interested in a conversation about that problem so that we can shape their thinking on how it ought to be solved. Today I'm going to show you tactics for getting the right buyers interested in the conversation along those lines. Clearly at some point in the buyer's journey they are going to want to look at our products and services and assess them. But before that they're going to think really hard about what it is that they need at all from you or from anybody else. And before that they're going to accept that they have a problem that they ought to fix at all in some fashion. Before that they might be interested in a conversation but really not that troubled. And before that they might know who you are but they really just don't care. So how do you get them positioned and interested in you and your products? Again, you don't. You don't get them interested in your company, you get them interested in a conversation about the problem that they need to have solved and how they might think about getting it solved. I'm going to show you in a moment how we do that tactically, a couple of suggested tactics for getting them interested in that conversation and how we can tell whether or not they are interested. I'm going to show you how we do that in a funnel plan, but before I do that I'll do two things. Firstly, I will show you what kind of tactics will work to getting business buyers interested in that conversation. And I'll invite you to receive more blogs like this. Let's get to those interest established tactics now first though. Because we're not trying to get buyers interested in us but in the conversation, it's the conversation towards getting troubled. So what we do to work out whether they're interested is we try to get them troubled and then watch how they react and which of them react to that troubling attempt. So we might be using tactics like direct mail and electronic direct mail to invite them, or even telemarketing, to invite them to a troubling tactic. So if they register or they click, then that's an interest established tactic. So it's not about trying on its own to get them interested, it's simply watching whether they are as we try to get them troubled. Again, not about the product or even about the company, but about the insights into the problem. So our troubling tactic is about the problem. That's going to be a webinar, it's going to be a seminar, it's going to be a white paper, it's going to be a video. Any of those tactics are good troubling tactics. The positioning piece will be the direct mail, electronic direct mail, or telemarketing perhaps, that leads to that troubling tactic. Interest established is simply they clicked, they responded, they RSVP'd, they accepted our outbound phone call. That's one. Second approach is to listen. We're going to listen through search, through social monitoring, but also through social research. What are our target, particularly our strategic targets, what are they saying? And join in their conversations, be a part of their dialogue and their journey. I've got a third tactic for you. We call it video VBRs, and let me explain very briefly. I've got a blog on how to do this and why to do this, and maybe we can put a copy of that in the show notes or a link to that in the show notes. But in short now, it's an outbound video directly from a salesperson to a prospect that they've not yet met. It's only going to be used to your most strategic targets, and it's going to be a personalised video that says, hey, I've been looking a little at your company, I've learned these things and it seems to me that, and then we lead to a discussion about the problem. When we do that, we like to use a thing called Postwire, and maybe we can include a link to that as well here in the video. The reason we use Postwire is principally in fact, no, let me give you three reasons. Firstly, it lets the salesperson customise a landing page just for that company. clearly communicates that we're treating them as a strategic target. Secondly, it gives us the tracking. When the person consumes the video or the slide share or whatever the tactic is that they're consuming, there's an email sent right to the salesperson's inbox and they can respond immediately. And thirdly, it lets marketing curate or even set up, if you like, those assets to make them easy for sales to use. So there's a few approaches that you can use to establish interest with the right market. Well, if you enjoyed this blog, then likely you'd enjoy others. Or maybe you've got a colleague who would also enjoy these blogs. If you haven't already, go to mathmarketing.com/blog and you can subscribe there. There's a couple of options. There's a twice a week blog which comes out nice and fresh, or there's a monthly blog called Funnel Vision Monthly, and that's got all of our very best blogs from the month. You can also go to YouTube. Let's put the link up here, and at YouTube you can subscribe to our channel. Now if you have already but you have a colleague who hasn't, then maybe you can invite them now to join. Why don't you do that? Come back and then I'll show you how we do that in Funnel Plan. Well, welcome back. Here's how we do that in the Funnel Plan. So in our last blog we added inbound and outbound tactics for positioning. So this time we really just want to see how they've reacted, or who has reacted, or frankly both. Who's reacted and how did they react? So I'm going to make one of our positioning tactics the outbound video VBR that I spoke of. And then the other interest established tactics are simply receiving a positive reaction to those positioning tactics. So let's put a couple of monitoring tactics in there in the interest established stage, and simply the buyer's positive reaction to our invitation to the troubling tactic is the interest established. So I've laboured it a little bit, but clearly the point I'm wanting to make is that you're not trying to get them interested in you. You're trying to get them interested in a conversation about them and about their problem. That's what interest established really means. So in the end, how we get them interested is pretty simple. How we get them troubled, that's a little more complex, and I'll show you how we do that on another day. But for now, may your funnel be full and always flowing.